Hello everybody and welcome to an update video. Look at this! It's another sped up game, aren't you all excited? Before I get into my random ramblings about my life and where we are with the channel at the moment, the game in the background, you will notice, is a Byzantium game. Now, this was just something I filmed on the sidelines. I fancy playing Byzantium, having a little bit of a crusade fun, but I realised we'd done this, well, quite a few times on the channel, including a very fun map actually. If you go back a few series of videos, we did one where we took over the world, I think, as Byzantium with like a big crusading game. That was really, really good fun. I kind of fancied doing that again, but I didn't fancy putting out a whole series because, again, repetition tends to bore people a little bit. So there we go, in the background. It'll be interesting to see how much actually this video ends up getting sped up. As a little bit of a weird behind the scenes thing, when I film this footage, I do it just in one take. So I think this game took me, I think it was about an hour and a quarter, something like that. So I film it, I chop it up, and then what I do is I film this audio stuff afterwards, which I then put on top. I then squeeze the video in to exactly match up the length of the video that I'm looking for, and it's all great. But if I end up having to squish the video down to a smaller size than a quarter, I think it's, getting rid of 3 frames in every 4. It begins to get really, really tricky. Now, it's not something I specifically try and aim for, but if I can get my ramblings to be more than whatever a quarter of the time of the video, my god, I will have saved myself a load of time. So if you see this video length and it's more than about 17, 18 minutes, I did well. If I didn't, Edit Ryan really, really, really got annoyed. This was a fun game. I think it was a Terra map. I like playing on Terra maps if I want to do a really quick domination game because everyone gets smudged into a really small space, so that was good fun. Nobody really made religions for quite a long time, so I kind of didn't have another religion to play off, but generally speaking, the crusading element was very successful. I think I had a medieval start, which is quite good fun. If you ever want to play a quick game, try a medieval start. It means that you get all of the ancient and classical techs and civics, which is really, really fun. You can beeline straight for a religion. You don't have to faff around with all of those early game techs of, oh, how do I mine the stone? It's like, yes, I know, I've done that 500 times. You can just see everything. You know where the iron is. You know where the horses are. Lets you plan districts a little bit better. I don't know. I quite like it. I think it's quite good fun. But I thought I'd check in. Hello, I'm doing good. It's been really busy. Really, really busy. The last month has been absolutely crazy. This whole year has been mad, hasn't it? Like, for all different reasons, and COVID-y and recovery as the world get back to normal in some places and is still locked down in others. Everybody seems to be having, well, a bit of a different time of it depending on where you are. I do hope everybody's well. Personally, I'm doing good. I'm fighting a tiny bit of a cold at the moment. You can probably hear in my throat, but that's probably because we've been actually seeing people for the first time in a long time. Does anybody remember the phenomenon that is Thresher's flu? Thresher's flu. Oh my goodness. When I first went to uni, when I went to uni at first, in this delightfully lovely place that I may have referred to before as Oxford, which is totally not the biggest waste of space ever, and I definitely love it. I love it so much. But I remember that first week I was so ill because it was just young people in a small space drinking and dancing and breathing on each other, and in hindsight I have no idea what I caught that week, but I was bedbound, genuinely bedbound for about 4 days. I don't think I've been that bad in the 12 years afterwards, probably. I just remember it. Yes, I'm fighting something at the moment, but otherwise I'm doing really good. We're loving life up in the Lake District. That's all fantastic. I'm still really enjoying filming and doing all the Civ, which is fantastic. I was really worried I'd be suffering from a bit of burnout with the game at the moment, and no. In short, I really don't. Civ is really good fun still. I'm really enjoying playing it. I hope you guys are still enjoying watching it. You guys seem to be. Views are doing good, subscribers are doing good, all with sort of metrics that you can see behind the scenes also appear to be doing very well. So, generally speaking, I'm really glad. It's getting busy though. It's getting really, really busy at work. It's really tough. You guys have heard me ramble about this before, but I balance the YouTube stuff with a full-time job, as most people do, which is quite difficult really to find the time. A lot of people have mentioned recently, oh, your voice has sounded a bit strange, or like, oh, you haven't sounded enthusiastic enough. I've had to do a lot of 6 a.m. filming recently, and enthusiasm is a difficult one to conjure at early times in the morning. It's currently 6:34 in the morning at the moment as I'm filming this right now. I do my best. I'm having to fit it around work because my weekends have been a little bit, well, crazy recently, and my evenings have been a little bit crazy as well. But I'm getting through it by the day personally as the summer disappears and it gets into autumn and winter and people aren't visiting up as much, which is funny, isn't it? The sun draws people in, and as soon as people realise you live in a very rainy and very cold area in the winter, hopefully we'll be a bit through it, but you never know. I should point out, if you actually do know me and you're planning on coming up, yes, I would still love to see you. This is all very much of a tongue-in-cheek aspect. I love you. So a lot of my time at the moment is kind of being torn between real-life boring stuff like working and admin and trying to sort our lives out in a sort of general behind-the-scenes way, but also being able to then film and edit the content that you guys appear to be loving. I'm doing a bit of planning at the moment on different projects. There's been a few little things, but I've kind of had to call off for a little bit. There were a couple of multiplayer games I had with other YouTube creators, which for whatever reason just weren't working, and that's purely down to the infrastructure on my side. I don't have the best internet. This is kind of one of the problems of where we live. The Lake District does have decent enough internet actually to be able to do most of the stuff you'd want, all the online gaming, all the Twitch stuff. My particular house is kind of on the edge of that network. At some point, the UK have this thing called OpenReach, the vans that come around and install all of the national internet, network, and they will be around at some point, I am sure, to make sure that we are hooked up entirely to that system. We're kind of on the edge of it. We should be getting really decent internet, and we just get decent internet, and I think it's because we're quite far away from the exchange, and the boxes we've got around on our road are a little bit slow, and I've seen them lurking. They definitely lurk around, and I know they're doing work in the area, so eventually that will be fixed. But what I was finding is when I was doing all of these multiplayer games, I was disconnecting. The audio was really tricky. When everybody's been having this problem with Zoom chats, right, with work or with D&D or with social games or whatever it might be that you've been doing in COVID? I don't know what COVID is. In lockdown times, it's difficult. You find yourself with a slight delay when you're talking, which is a little bit awkward to have organic and natural conversation. If you try comparing on a Zoom chat to sitting across a restaurant table for somebody, actually no, restaurant tables are a bad example because then normally there's horrible music being played out far too loudly and you can't hear each other. No, I'm thinking more if you have an in-person chat with somebody, because the talk is so much quicker, it's so much easier to have a natural conversation, and the Zoom stuff is difficult. And when you throw in the disconnects my game was having, I was disconnecting like 6-7 times across a 3-hour recording session, and it's just painful, and I feel really bad for the people I'm filming with, so I'm just holding off on that for now. Maybe I can do some other projects. I've been thinking about planning different things with other YouTube creators. Like, I know that there are a bunch of really cool people, Otter and Bo and Dux and the Challenge League, Victor Cat, he's awesome, Civ 6 podcast and all that sort of stuff that they do. They're all brilliant guys, and it would be fantastic to do some stuff with them. Maybe I could do like a save file challenge or something. I don't know. I've got plans. It's just finding time to do them. The problem is, right, most people live in America, and America seems to be a wonderful place. I've never been. I still have never been. It's one of these analogies and one of these random things that I've said before. My entire job is dealing with American tax, and I've never actually been to America before. For all I know, the place could be entirely fabricated by Hollywood, which is actually some place in Preston. I don't know. It could be total joke, and the whole place is just totally non-existent, but I just have to assume it does. But all of these guys are all based in America, which is fine, but then when you put the 5 to 8 hour time differences, well, my normal 6 a.m. recording slot is a little tricky to make work, so I end up having to do it in the evenings and at the weekends, and they're like having to film it in the day, and obviously people have work, and it's all very tricky. So maybe like a save file challenge, like playing the same game, see who does better, or maybe I could pass a save file over halfway through and just totally ruin a game and see if I can get them to have some fun. I don't know, we'll see. I do have some other rough plans actually, and this sounds crazy, and I'll kind of mention this with a sort of lead into the Patreon stuff, because the Patreon people have been so supportive and basically are the guys that fuel me through this entire creative endeavor. Like, being frank, they are just wonderful people. But I have been thinking about trying to do a bit of live action stuff recently. I've got this list of little skits, little comedy things, or little quirks with Civ or with gaming generally that I think would be really fun to film, like sort of 60-second or 45-second little comedy skits, Door Monster style, or, you know, that sort of thing. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm genuinely and seriously thinking about doing it. From a personal point of view, I've learned so much physically and technologically from doing all of this recording, from the sound engineering to the recording your game and editing it and doing the graphics, and like everything you see I had to do myself. And you can tell it's done myself because I am terrible at it, but I was a lot worse when I started off, and I have this theory that if I start doing live action stuff with cameras and proper audio and whatever, it could just be really fun and really educational from my point of view, building a bit of a portfolio of creative stuff and practicing my little skills and getting to work with, I know, some really wonderful real life people who are extremely media savvy and really clever with this sort of stuff, and it'd be fantastic to meet up with them and do a bit of recording. Yeah, it's something I've been meaning to do for a little while, but I've also gotten a couple of ideas for some sort of online skits or some stuff I could film on a computer, which could be funny. I don't know. The Patreon people are going to get inundated with some of the ideas as they help me to plan, and it's kind of a good segue into this. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the Patreon support, but also everybody that subscribes along to the channel. If you can't afford to subscribe as a Patreon subscriber, I get it. I totally get it. It's random. I'm some random dude on the internet. Why on earth would you give me money? I totally understand. It's a mad concept. If you want to help and you want to support the channel, subscribing up really does make a huge difference. And it's totally free, which is the main thing. You can even mute my channel if you don't want to get heard, you know, told about the actual videos that come out, if you just want to pity subscribe effectively. But it's amazing how much difference it makes. Just the numbers have been racking up on the old subscriber count. Now we're, north of 5,700 or something mad, which is just brilliant. But support leads to support. The YouTube algorithm, it wants to send people to different places, but it wants to send people to places that people watch, and having a good subscriber count massively helps to boost, well, the area, you know, where the algorithm gets people to be sent. So it's a really, really fun thing, especially as Civ is winding down as a game and people are doing less and less content of it. This is where it becomes really important, because if people have changed, different YouTubers are doing different games, and say their YouTube audience begins to fall away a little bit, the algorithm will start to push them towards other people doing Civ, as people want to find that same buzz they had before. So it's really, really helpful. Thank you so much for everybody subscribing. If you don't, or if you know people that haven't, that's easily the best way of getting people to subscribe. To subscribe? What I mean is to support the channel. It's free, that's all you need to know. As an end of year goal, we have about 3 and a bit months. I want to see how close to 10,000 I can get. I hate having goals, but it's a really, really fun one, because it really does help, and this is kind of the next update, really. For me, by far, time is the biggest thing that stops me from doing too much YouTubing, and it's because I work full-time. That is the drawback, and of course everybody works, I totally get that, but the idea that I could do YouTube as a full-time career is just nuts. But if you have ever considered supporting and want to help me get to 10,000 subscribers, or you can support on Patreon, it makes such a difference, because it really does, well, I think I've said this before, like, my pipe dream is doing this full time, and that pipe dream is now like an offside chance. Like, now it's small, it's there, like 5,700 subscribers. It doesn't need to be crazy. I spoke before, my goal, my aim is to get to 50,000. If I can get to 50,000, I think I can do this full time. Genuinely, I think that is something that's possible. So I'm already over 10% of the way there now. I think I remember doing an update video where I was like 3% of the way there, and I was so ecstatic about that. I'm well over 10% now, and it's going so well. But time really is the biggest thing. If you do have a bit of spare time, or maybe even some pocket money you can throw over, I feel awful saying I've got such a this British mechanism that's like, no, don't ask for money, but everybody I speak to is like, just be honest with people, and like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to do this full time. I want to be able to stream. I want to be able to film comedy skits. I want to be able to put a series out every 2 days, you know? These are the sort of things I want to be able to do. So it really does help me, and to those that do support me, I hope you get your value for money in terms of the actual, you know, conversation I give you and the input you get into the channel. Maybe chat to the Patreon people on Discord if you ever want to, I don't know, like bend their ear and see what they think about the whole thing and whether it's worth it. But yeah, I'll leave off this point. I don't like sort of drilling it in, but the main target is I've been trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. 10,000 represents one of those points where it begins to get a bit serious with how many people are watching, and if I can get to 50,000 at some point, that's when I can do this full time. Like, genuinely, these are the goals I'm going for. So Ursa Ryan to 50k, Ursa Ryan to 10k, whatever it's going to be. Thank you so much for your support, and really, any help you can give me is brilliant. On these update videos, I hope you're enjoying the game in the background, but let me know what sort of update videos you want to see. I've done it before where I'm just chatting to a camera. I think you guys seem to like this format where I play a game in the background and you've got some distracting movements behind you, you know, that mean that you don't just have to listen to my horrible, weird voice, my morning voice, my 6:46 in the morning voice. But if you fancy some other stuff, I've been doing loads and loads of mountain hiking, and I've actually been starting to get into fell running. Weirdly, like, I'm really bad at it. I'm really, really bad at it. But I was thinking, would you guys like a style of format where I take a camera out and I chat like running up a mountain, and I have an update video at the top of it, and then we run back down and you can sort of see some of the countryside around me? I don't know. Let me know. That could be something relatively entertaining. Again, it's different styles of filming for me. Like, anything, when I say live action, by the way, I mean actual camcorders in the wild, like in real life with proper video cameras and whatever. So if you fancy me trying something like that, then, you know, that could be a laugh. But equally, if these formats work really well for you, then that's also fine. I want to please you guys. Some frequently asked questions that I'm getting a lot at the moment, so we'll deal on a couple of these topics as well. Streaming. Do you think about streaming? Do you want to stream? Yes, I absolutely would love to stream. Internet is generally my biggest problem. I'm trying to sort that behind the scenes. If I can ever get an internet upgrade, then it would be perfect. At the moment, my internet runs at about 30 to 35 consistently megabits a second download, but it's the upload which is the problem, and it runs at about 6 to 7, and ideally you need about 8 to 9 to be able to twitch at a decent level. So mine isn't reliably up there. If I can get an upgrade to 55 or whatever, which puts me at like 15, 16 upload, then I would be absolutely fine to do this any time of the day. But that's a mechanical problem I'm having at the moment that I'm trying to deal with. The other problem with streaming is that it takes a long period of time. I don't have hours of the week in order to do it because I work full time. This is my problem, and this is one of those things where, genuinely, if you want to help me to stream, all of these update targets that I'm talking about, getting me to 10k, getting me to 50k, it helps to justify me taking time off work. Because, you know, that time off work doesn't have to be a regular thing. I can just do one-off streams. I can gate crash other people's streams. I mean, would it be hilarious if I was on the Yogscast stream, or I turned up on one of Duck's streams, or on one of Bo's streams, you know, whatever. And you know, there are lots of fun things I can do. So yes, absolutely thinking about it. Mechanically and practically, it's difficult, but you guys can help me to stream by joining on the old Ursa Ryan bandwagon. Frequently asked question, are you thinking about playing any other games, aka Humankind? Now, I still don't own Humankind. I've been watching people play it. It seems to be a fun game. It seems like people are really enjoying it. A little bit buggy, as games are when they first get released, so there's always an element of waiting for the first patch or two to come through and sort out the game baking bugs, you know, like there is entertaining things. But I think generally I've really been struggling on time. To get a daily video out every day is really tough. It takes a lot of time, and dealing with Civ content is a mechanic that I am really smooth and optimized with. I know how to play Civ, I'm really good at it, I know how to edit it, I know how to film it. Humankind is another kettle of fish. I haven't played it, which means I've probably got to sink about 50 to 100 hours off camera easily in order to make sure that I can play it at a level which is A, good enough for you guys to watch. You guys want to watch me on the hardest mode because that's what people want to see. I get that. The Humankind difficulty is quite hard. You know, I can't just go in 0 to hero. I've got to actually learn the game behind the scenes. I've got to put the hours in to actually learn how to play it. And for me, time is a real big issue. But also, the second thing with that sort of time is I need to get good at the game so that I can be funny. And it sounds really silly, but there's a certain humour with filming these things where if I do something really stupid, you guys can laugh at it and I can laugh at it and that's fine. But if I do that too much, you guys just get frustrated that I'm not playing the game very well, and what's the point in me playing it? So actually building the humour is really tricky. I need to confidently be casually good. Casually good is this concept that I run the channel with, right? You get different YouTubers with different calling cards. Some people are just really technical and really fantastic at the game. Others just use comedy and memes and, oh god, you can hear my voice. I'm sorry, this is so early in the morning, but they just use pure comedy to be able to get these sort of things out, and people just laugh. I'm thinking more like Isoro Productions. Do you remember him? Hearts of Iron content, eh? I'm sort of this weird middle ground. Like, people watch me because I'm genuinely good at the game, but I'm casually good at the game. I will laugh and have fun and have a joke and do really silly challenges and then just be casually winning the game on deity. So that's kind of the way I go for, and I can't really pull that off on Humankind yet because I don't know how to play it. So there's a lot of time. Again, I know I'm keep harking back, but if you want me to have the time to be able to play these games confidently without taking like a hit to the output of recording, then yeah, subscribing, Patreon, these are the things that really help out. So yeah, there we go. There's kind of an update of kind of where I am at the moment. If you've ever got any questions, by the way, leave them on this video. I will happily come and answer anything that I can. Oh, that's another frequently asked thing. Discord and YouTube comments I've been really slow on recently. It's genuinely a time thing. I've been genuinely busy. Really, really busy. I'm trying to get back on top of it because I love interacting with you guys, and having spent a month not being very good at it, it's a real false economy for me. Yes, I get extra time, but I don't get any satisfaction out of not talking to you guys, and I feel really bad for not doing it. So I'm going to try and get into that a little bit more, a little bit better, because, yeah, I don't think it's really that exciting not talking to you. It's really good fun. That's kind of half the benefit of it all. But right, we had a decent update video there, so hopefully the video is not too shaky and fast. The game will have played quick, but hopefully you will roundabout see me wrapping up the game right now. I did have a little bit of a flicking around the victory screen in order for you to see the sort of the game stats, and then I was like, hang on, this is going to be sped up like 3-4 times. Nobody's going to be able to see this. Oh well. Anyway, Dromans, they're fun, eh? See you guys later, and again, to everybody that supports, thank you very much. But you're just about to hear that in the outro, so there's no point in me saying that. Ha! And finally, a very special shout out goes to Scott Stratton, Major King Kong, Matthew Wilkinson, Salty Tech, The Broccoli, Midnight Oil, and Truffadaskby for all of your support on Patreon. Thank you everybody for all of your support generally. It is brilliant. See you in my next video.